On April 15th of this year at precisely 12 a.m., a very unusual post appeared on my local Craigslist board. It was entitled, "Looking for Grave to Rob."
Hi, my name is Cooper and I am interested in digging up and robbing a grave. However, I do not want to break any laws in the process. This could be either a pet's grave or perhaps an ancient grave, and you can keep any items recovered for yourself. I can pay $50 for help in this endeavor. If you believe you could aid me in this venture, you can reach me at the listed contact information.
Which I will keep private, but what I will disclose is who left this message. It was me. I posted it. You see, I've got this dilemma. I have been struck with the insatiable urge to treasure hunt, yet I cannot find any buried treasure. This just happens to me several times a year. Not the treasure hunting thing, but the intense and obsessive interest in a new hobby. Last year it was fantasy sports, poker, and golf. This year it's trading card games and treasure hunting. I have traveled to dozens of prime locations with my metal detector and come up completely empty-handed. I have gone geocaching several times and not found a thing. I have tried Pokemon Go and treasure hunting themed video games, but none of them have scratched the itch. I honestly don't know what to do. I feel completely hopeless and out of options. I mean, what else even is there to try? Is grave robbing really so wrong? Yeah, yes it is. It is a grossly disrespectful, invasive, and foul practice. However, I have developed a morbid fascination with it. I wanted to understand why. Why do people do this? And hey, maybe someone will respond to my Craigslist post. If there is a way to do it somehow legally, somehow ethically, somehow in a fun way, then gosh darn it, I am gonna find it. And what better place to start my search than in the history books? Like any other taboo and illegal vocation, grave robbing has a long and rich history filled with stories of devious larceny, intimate feuds, and even murder. As long as there have been graves to rob, there have been grave robbers, but the trade didn't really take off until the 17th century with the advent and rise of body snatching. The study of anatomy and other related sciences had reached a point where cadavers were regularly needed. The advancement of medicine hungered for the dead, and who did university professors and its students turn to for help but the grave robbers, who were often jokingly labeled as the resurrectionists. Great band name, by the way. This was probably the golden age of grave robbing. In fact, body snatching had become such a common practice that relatives of the recently buried would stand guard over their graves for nights on end. Further means of defense were also developed, such as the mort safe, which was an iron cage placed over the top of the grave. There was also the cemetery gun, which was a flintlock pistol mounted at the foot of the grave sites and rigged to fire with a tripwire. Most deadly of all was the coffin torpedo, patented by an Ohioan inventor in 1878. The coffin torpedo was basically just a shotgun stuck to the top of a coffin and was apparently such a success that it inspired competitors. In 1881, fellow Ohioan and inventor Judge Thomas Howell produced the Howell torpedo, which was an early version of a landmine dug into the ground just above the coffin. These inventors underestimated the grave robbers' craftiness. The resurrectionists began working in teams and also sent women and children undercover to funerals and burials in order to spot any traps being set. In 1878, a grave robber successfully stole and ransomed the body of Alexander T. Stewart, who was one of the wealthiest men to ever live. The thief made $20,000 off of this heist, which adjusted for inflation is $640,000. However, not all stories of grave robbery are ones of triumph and cunning. In fact, the truth is quite the opposite. Most are tales of idiocy and desperation. In 1819, a man named William Cobbett decided that Founding Father Thomas Paine's gravesite was lackluster and unsatisfactory. He had Paine's body removed with the intention of reburying him in England. However, he went broke and I guess just got distracted somewhere along the way because he died with Paine's bones still in his belongings, which unfortunately were never to be seen again. In 1828, a pair of grave robbers by the name of William Burke and William Hare took this whole grave robbing thing just a little bit too far in my opinion. Over the course of 10 months, they would murder 16 people and sell their bodies to a local anatomist. Serial killer Ed Gein, who inspired Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was also a grave robber. Modern tales of grave robbery are equally macabre. In 2011, a pair of Pakistani brothers were arrested for having stolen as many as 150 bodies. They were eating them. That same year, a Russian man was arrested for using human remains to craft dolls. And just after midnight on Monday, May 5th, I received my first genuine response to my Craigslist post.
Hey, saw your listing. My wife and I might be able to help you out with that. We've got one in our backyard that's been need to get dug for some time now. Call at...
I was fully awake now and snuck out of the bedroom and into the other room, and I decided to play it safe and just text, which prompted an almost immediate callback. So, hesitantly, I answered. And in the dead of night, I talked to the guy who, seemed nice enough. He was really worried about the $50. That was his main thing. Most of our conversation revolved around that. He was very concerned that I wasn't going to pay him. So I promised him, I assured him that I would pay him up front. And in return, he agreed to let me come by his house that Thursday to dig up an actual, real human body buried in his backyard.
Well, there's not a stone, but there sure as shit is some bones. There are probably still some bones down there.
Like, of an animal, or...
No, so it's the previous homeowner's granddaddy.
You're kidding.
He ain't never come back for him. I can't get in touch with him no more. He had health issues back then, too, so he may be dead for all I know. But yeah, I'll let you dig him up.
What day works for you?
Thursday.
Researching the history of grave robbing hadn't really provided me with any answers to my questions, although, in truth, it probably just hadn't supplied me with the answers that I wanted. Nonetheless, I did decide to continue searching and investigate as many fictional depictions of grave robbing as I could, starting with a little game called Graveyard Keeper, which is a pretty simple experience, but also completely engrossing. The game tasks the player with both maintaining and improving a small cemetery. Early on in my playthrough, I expected grave robbers to be a nuisance that I would have to deal with periodically throughout the game, but to my shock, Graveyard Keeper often encourages the player to rob graves. Whether it be by the request of an astronomer, a merchant, or the dead themselves, the game constantly has you digging up graves. In Alice Rohrwacher's 2024 film La Chimera, starring Josh O'Connor of Challenger's fame, a grumpy ex-archaeologist accompanied by a misfit band of young grave robbers scour the Italian countryside for buried tombs containing Etruscan artifacts which they sell to a black market dealer. For the protagonist, grave robbing serves as remuneration, capitalism, right? They gotta make money, this is how they make money. But in my opinion, more importantly, grave robbing offers them the ability to do so together. They enjoy it as a group activity. They even bond over it, although as their interpersonal relationships complicate, so too does their perspective on grave robbing. In Jesse Bullington's 2009 novel, The Sad Tale of the Brothers Grossbart, grave robbing is a tradition passed down through generations of Grossbart men. The titular brothers are born into it. They do it first and foremost because it is in their blood. In Season 3, Episode 6 of SpongeBob SquarePants, Mr. Krabs, motivated purely by greed, robs a grave. In Season 1, Episode 7 of Dickinson, grave robbing is done to solve an inconvenience. In Season 8, Episode 7 of House, grave robbing is performed to help solve a medical mystery. In Martin McDonagh's 1997 play A Skull in Connemara, grave robbing is a necessity. Old bodies need to be removed and destroyed to make way for the newly deceased. In general, most depictions of grave robbing fall into one of three major categories. The first being the aforementioned body snatching, grave robbing with the intent of stealing the body itself. The second is treasure hunting, aka stealing whatever riches were buried along with the body, and the final category is grave robbing performed in the pursuit of gaining magical abilities. This usually comes in the form of some kind of supernatural curse or hex. In Friday the 13th, Jason Lives, Tommy Jarvis digs up Jason's grave in order to make sure that he is really dead, but ends up accidentally resurrecting him in the process. In Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, two bozos dig up Jason's grave because I honestly don't know why, for fun, I guess, and they accidentally resurrect him. Speaking of resurrection, in the Bible, there is great concern that Jesus' body will be stolen by grave robbers. However, God beats them all to the punch. In almost every Scooby-Doo series, the gang goes grave robbing for one reason or another. In My Little Pony, the movie, did I forget to mention that there's grave robbing in the original My Little Pony movie because there is as part of a musical number. In Grave Robbing for Morons, an infamous 90s VHS tape that has evolved into an internet urban legend, a young man named Anthony describes his body snatching process. For him, grave robbing is a side hustle that he hopes to popularize and turn into a trend. Is the video real or not? We will probably never know for sure, although personally I do think that most of it is real, but definitely not all of it. In Grave Robbing for Dummies, a YouTube video that is such a mess it had to be completely re-edited twice. An absolute fool goes grave robbing because, Wait, why did he want to do that again? I had consumed as much grave robbing media as I possibly could, yet I could not find a single entry that I could meaningfully relate to, which is probably a good thing. I also couldn't connect with any of history's most infamous grave robbers, also probably a good thing. I didn't want to make furniture out of human remains or steal a famous person's bones or develop otherworldly powers, although that last part would be cool. I just wanted to go treasure hunting, but my metal detector sucked, my local geocaching community sucks, and I thought it'd be funny to make a post on Craigslist about grave robbing. Imagine my surprise when some lunatic actually responded. I kept all of this a secret from my wife, by the way, who I was sure would disapprove, although I did confide in my brother just so that, like, if I did end up vanishing, it wouldn't be without a trace, and he actually said something that made this whole thing just finally click together and make sense for me. He said,
"Well, that's gonna make for one heck of a story."
That was it. That was what I wanted. An experience, a story worth telling. At family gatherings, my aunts and uncles and my dad are always telling these wild stories from when they were younger, and like, yeah, I've got like a few fun ones, but not like they do. I wanted a story like that. How about the time Cooper went grave robbing with a crazy person? Now that is a story worth telling. Thursday morning, I prepared for my dig. I made sure my phone was fully charged. I packed a pair of gloves, 2 water bottles, and of course, my shovel, a grave robber's best friend. The weather that day was appropriately gloomy, almost foreboding. It had rained all night long and now was sporadically sprinkling. This did concern me a little bit, but it was predicted to cease by noon. I was planning on conducting my excavation around 2 or so, but I decided to call first just to confirm a time. He did not pick up, so I left a voicemail and sent a text. Noon rolled around, I called again. Nothing. I texted once more, radio silence, Thursday came, and Thursday went. Friday came and went, Saturday came and went, Sunday also came and went. It is Monday. I have tried calling, texting, left like 8 voicemails, and it's just dead air. I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, maybe he'll get back to me later, but I'm not really counting on it. I don't know if it was all like, if he was just pulling my chain and it was like all a prank, or if he wisened up and realized that from his perspective, this probably wasn't such a good idea for him. I don't know. I don't have his address, or I've got his phone number, but that's all I have to go off of. And yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah, so I was right. It didn't happen. I was unable to contact him again. Unfortunately, the validity of his claim will forever remain a mystery. It probably was just some kind of like weird joke, although when I spoke to him, he was very convincing, although it was like 1 a.m. As fate would have it, my quest would remain unfulfilled. But not for long, because my grandmother, who I had been keeping in the loop, swooped in with a great idea. It had been many years since her dog Cookie had passed, but she still felt remorse for burying her in an old cardboard box. Cookie had been a very sweet and very happy dog. Yeah, she had an unfortunate skin condition that made her smell like moldy, rotting eggs, but otherwise, she was always pleasant to be around. And my grandmother and I both agreed that she deserved better. So, I tossed my shovel into the car and made the trip out to the ranch where Cookie was buried. 10 minutes of digging later, she didn't dig her that deep, I hit the cardboard box, or at least what was left of it. After transferring its contents over to the much nicer tote box I had picked out, I returned Cookie to her resting place, where she would now hopefully remain undisturbed forever. Does this count as grave robbing? Absolutely not. But gosh darn it, it was close enough for me.
Well, there ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down.
I want to thank y'all so much for watching and for all of the continued support on the channel and on Patreon recently. It's been really cool to see, and seriously brightens up my day every day. I haven't been able to help but brag on y'all to other creators. I truly believe that I've been blessed with the kindest audience on this platform. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to give it a like and leave a comment. Also, in case you were curious about any of the media featured in it, as always, there is a full list of that down in the description. My Patreon is also linked there. If you haven't already become a member on Patreon, then you should know for a minimum price of just $1 a month, you can have your name shouted out at the end of every future video. Plus, you get access to any shorter videos that I post there. I got one out last month, and I am planning on uploading there twice this month. But otherwise, thank you so much to all of my patrons. Jay is Aint, Katie La Bombard, Addison S, Avi, Biggest, Brickus, Sean C, Curbing, Ethan, Nina Verkowski, Braden Surfos, Crazy Queen, Ubaba, Lesser Ghoul, Alex, Chaluli, Bam, Brandon, Zudo Show, Martha Barnett, Drew K, Totally Awesome, Muffin, Joy Barnett, and Lance B.